Hello, family. Fine and blessed. I hope you're also doing well. Today, I'd like us to look at some verses in Esther chapter 1, from verse 5, where it says, "And when these days were completed, the king made a feast lasting 7 days for all the people who were present in Shushan, the citadel from great to small, in the court of the garden of the king's palace. There were white and blue linen curtains fastened with cords of fine linen and purple on silver rods, marble pillars, and the coaches were made of gold and silver on mosaic pavement of alabaster, turquoise, white and black marble. And they served drinks in golden vessels, each vessel being different from the other, with royal wine in abundance, according to the generosity of the king. In accordance to the law, the drinking was not compulsory, but for so the king had ordered all the kings of his household that they should do according to each man's pleasure." In another version, the NLT, as I was reading it, it says that there was no limit. And what had happened before the king had opened the door for the people who were in his city, he had finished hosting the generals, the leaders, who he had given like 180 days, 6 months. That is something we had discussed some other time. And when I think about these people who had stayed with the king, the generals, I think of the present day generals, the Christian generals that people talk about. You know, people like Reinhard Bonke, who would hold crusades that were attended by thousands and thousands of people. I remember my wife telling me that her mother gave her life to Christ in such a crusade. And there are other generals, like maybe Pastor Bishop Mark of Deliverance Church, people who have served in God with distinction and have been used by God greatly. And I don't know which other generals you can think of, but I believe one of the things that God requires of these people that he uses a lot is that they have to spend a lot of time with him. I remember one of the, church fathers, not church fathers, but one of the mighty men who used to be in England, who is said to have been spending a lot of time in prayer for God to have used him as much as he was. So there is actually a cost to pay. For some of the people that God brings close to him, there is a cost they have to pay for being for having access to his power and his authority. And then, so when you look at this, the ordinary folks who had been invited and they were given the freedom to take as much as they can. It's of course, different cultures treat wine drinking differently, but the parallel we see in the Bible is that wine is like the equivalent of the Holy Spirit. There is a portion that says, "Do not be drunk with wine, but be filled with the Spirit." So the people who had that rare privilege of sitting in the king's presence, in the palace and taking the wine, it was about their capacity to take advantage of that time and to drink as much as they could. It makes me think about like a sponge. When you have a sponge and you put it, a dry sponge, and you put it on water, it might not even absorb that fluid. Many times what you need to do is to squeeze it. And then when you place it in the water, as it is expanding, you have expelled all the air, and when it is expanding, now it absorbs the water well. And then now, if you want to use it again, you have to squeeze out the water and or the fluid, so that now it can take in some more. When I look at this, it is actually it makes me think that maybe this is one of the strategies that God uses with us as well. That sometimes He needs to squeeze us, some circumstances in life that come and squeeze us, so that He can create space in us to pour in something new. But then it also works the other way around, I believe. When we have received something from God, we have been blessed, He has put in us the word, and then He puts us in the marketplace, in the world, where there are people who are hurting, people who don't know God, people who are walking in the dark. And then He allows us to be squeezed by the world so that the people around us can receive that good thing that He has deposited in us. So I don't know what kind of squeezing you are going through or have gone through, but I believe God uses it for His good. Thank you very much, and God bless you.